Okay, so you've sent us some really fascinating stuff lately about how technology is shaking things up in media and entertainment. And today, yeah, we're going straight to the heart of it. We want to really dissect this idea of substitute products or services.
hmm
Think of it less like, direct competitors and more like those things that seem unrelated but can suddenly, well, steal your lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that LinkedIn article you shared is a great lens for this.
Right.
It really nails a key part of Michael Porter's five forces model,
Hmm.
that threat of substitutes. It's all about recognizing that customer needs, they can be met in really unexpected ways, often from totally outside your immediate field.
And with tech moving so fast.
Exactly. These substitutes can pop up and change incredibly quickly. It's quite something to watch.
Yeah, definitely. So the article gives us two really powerful examples to chew on. First, the big one that's, well, mostly done now, the shift from traditional photochemical film to digital cinema.
Classic case.
And second, something much more current, developing like crazy right now. AI dubbing starting to challenge human dubbing.
Right, and these aren't just, slight upgrades. They're fundamental changes in how the actual job gets done.
Totally different approaches.
And what's so useful about looking at them together, like the article does, is seeing how that first transition, digital cinema, might give us clues about where AI dubbing is heading. So our mission, let's say, for this deep dive, is to really pull out those core insights. How do these disruptive substitutes actually work?
Using these examples, historical and current, to kind of get a clear picture of this whole economic force in action.
Precisely. Let's make it tangible.
Okay, let's do it. So, first wave, the digital cinema revolution. The article gives us this really valuable inside look through Paolo Fontana's time at Technicolor.
Yeah, he was right in the thick of it as this massive change was happening.
Must have been quite a time.
Oh, I imagine so. And what's striking, right off the bat, is that this wasn't exactly a bolt from the blue. Way back in 1999, apparently the CEO of Technicolor Rome, Giuseppe Filardi,
Yeah.
he actually flagged digital as a potential future threat.
Really? In 1999? That early?
Yeah, even though it probably seemed pretty remote then. But crucially, Technicolor Rome actually started putting money into digital services proactively.
Ah, okay. So they were listening.
That early recognition, that willingness to adapt, even when the threat seems distant, that's a huge takeaway, isn't it? Disruptions, they rarely appear without any warning signs.
Definitely. It wasn't like the entire industry was caught completely sleeping. There were whispers, and some people actually, well, acted on them. Then the article points to a real sort of tipping point around 2009, James Cameron's Avatar.
Ah, yes, Avatar. Hard to forget that one.
Right. That film, especially with its immersive 3D digital presentation, it really hammered home what digital cinema could offer. Something genuinely different.
Exactly. It wasn't just, oh, the picture looks a bit better. It was a whole new kind of cinematic experience, that immersive 3D thing. Photochemical film just couldn't replicate that in the same way.
Mm.
And that ability for a substitute to offer a new value proposition, that's often how they gain serious ground.
It changes the game. And it's fascinating, too, how even the absolute legends, the masters of the craft, had their doubts at first. Vittorio Storaro, the cinematographer, in 2005, he was apparently quite skeptical. Doubted digital cameras could ever really match film quality.
I remember reading about that. There was a lot of debate back then.
But then, fast forward just 5 or 6 years, 2010, 2011, he'd completely switched over to digital.
And that just perfectly shows how these substitutes evolve,
Hmm.
right? They get better, fast. Initially, sure, there can be totally valid concerns about quality or functionality,
Mm.
but the tech keeps improving.
Relentlessly.
And eventually it overcomes those hurdles. The substitute becomes not just viable, but maybe even better in many aspects. Digital camera tech just exploded in capability.
Yeah, and the article really lays out why digital cameras became such a powerful substitute for film cameras. It wasn't just the image quality eventually catching up, though that was huge. Think about the immediate feedback on set. No more waiting hours for the dailies to see if you got the shot.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
Imagine the creative freedom that unlocked.
Exactly. Being able to experiment without worrying about the massive cost of film stock, the processing.
Huh?
Plus, the performance improved so much, especially in tricky lighting, like low light. These were real, tangible advantages film just couldn't easily counter.
That's a great point. It wasn't just about getting better than film. It fundamentally changed the process of filmmaking itself.
Right.
It directly solved major pain points.
Yeah.
Film was expensive, logistically complex. Digital offered clear solutions, making it more and more attractive, and naturally, that forced companies like Technicolor to completely rethink what they offered. Big time.
Which, yeah, leads us perfectly into that next phase, getting rid of the actual film reels for distribution. I mean, just trying to picture the effort involved. Producing, checking, shipping those heavy, bulky canisters all over the world.
Oh, it was an incredibly complex, very expensive system. Think of the insurance, the transport costs, the potential for damage.
A logistical nightmare.
Totally. So digital distribution first maybe on hard drives, but now mostly electronically via secure networks, CDNs. It was just, well, dramatically better.
How so?
More streamlined, way more cost-effective, much faster. Plus, you basically eliminate the risk of a scratched or damaged print ruining an opening night.
Ah, okay. Fewer headaches for the cinemas, too.
And much shorter lead times needed to get a film out globally. The shift wasn't just format, it was control and speed.
Right, but that obviously meant a whole new setup was needed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cinemas needed new digital projectors. You needed secure, high-bandwidth networks. Content delivery networks became crucial.
And Technicolor, again, had to pivot from processing film to, what, digital mastering, secure delivery.
Exactly. It wasn't just swapping one machine for another. It was fundamentally reshaping their business model to fit this new digital reality.
The efficiency gains, the cost savings, they were just too big to ignore, I guess.
Pretty much. For big theatrical releases, physical film prints essentially became obsolete because the digital substitute just delivered way more value, speed, cost, reliability. It shows how a superior substitute can completely remake an industry's plumbing, so to speak.
Okay, so that digital cinema story gives us a really clear, completed example of a disruptive substitute. Now, let's pivot to the present day. AI dubbing. The article draws this direct line, this parallel to what's happening now with AI potentially substituting for traditional human dubbing.
It does, and the comparison is really quite insightful, I think. We're seeing a very similar dynamic play out. Traditional human dubbing, like the article explains, is just inherently a very labor-intensive thing.
Right, you need translators, skilled ones, you need voice actors, often fluent in multiple languages.
Talented actors, yeah. Then recording studios, sound engineers, directors, extensive post-production to sync it all up.
It all adds up. A lot of time, a lot of cost involved.
Definitely. And that's the vulnerability, isn't it? AI is essentially targeting a process that is, by its nature, complex and resource-heavy.
That makes sense. It can create real bottlenecks, especially if you're trying to release something everywhere at once. And now, yeah, we have these AI dubbing tools coming along using, what is it, natural language processing, text-to-speech, even speech-to-speech.
All that tech. It sounds almost sci-fi, but it's moving incredibly fast, becoming a practical tool.
And what these AI systems do is automate big chunks of that traditional workflow, right?
That's the idea. I can transcribe the original dialogue, translate it, generate synthetic voices in potentially hundreds of languages.
Wow.
And even attempt to match the new audio to the original actor's lip movements. Now, it's not perfect, but the potential for automating huge parts of the process is undeniable.
So the shift is from needing all those specialized human skills to needing, well, algorithms and data.
In large part, yes. And the article shares another great little anecdote here. Back in 2004,
Okay.
Walter Schonfeld, who was a Technicolor then, apparently believed that, yeah, film would eventually go digital, but dubbing, that was different. He thought human dubbing was basically irreplaceable by tech.
Huh. Famous last words, perhaps. It really shows how hard it is to predict these things, doesn't it? Even for people deep inside the industry.
It really does. Expertise in one domain doesn't automatically give you a crystal ball for everything else. That never say never aspect of tech progress.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward again, the article mentions Paolo Fontana's own concerns in 2017 about machine dubbing. And also Magda Soltinska from SDI Media being initially skeptical, questioning if AI could ever really capture the subtleties of human performance.
Right, that initial resistance, focusing on what the new tech can't do yet rather than what it might do eventually.
Exactly. That underestimation of future development, we saw with digital cameras, and we're seeing it again here.
But those limitations, as we saw, can be overcome. So let's explicitly break down those parallels the article draws between digital cinema and AI dubbing. They seem quite strong.
They really are. Okay, first the obvious one, substitution. AI dubbing is stepping in to do the same core job, providing audio in another language, but using a fundamentally different method than the traditional human-centric one, just like digital replaced photochemical processes.
Makes sense. Okay, what else?
Lowering barriers. Remember how digital made filmmaking cheaper, less reliant on expensive film stock?
Yeah.
Well, AI dubbing could potentially do the same for localization, reduce the need for loads of studio time, maybe fewer actors needed for certain projects. It could open up localization to creators who couldn't afford it before.
Right. Democratizing it a bit.
Yeah,
And then speed and efficiency.
huge potential there. AI promises much faster turnarounds. Imagine simultaneous localization into dozens of languages.
That would be a game changer for global releases, getting content out everywhere instantly.
Exactly. Speed is a massive advantage, tackling a major bottleneck in the old way.
Okay. What about scale?
That ties in. AI can potentially handle enormous volumes of content across numerous languages, far more easily than scaling up human teams for every single project.
Yeah.
That scalability is key in today's global media world.
And the big one? Cost savings.
Always a major driver. Less spending on talent fees, studio rentals, maybe less intensive post-production. It could make localization much more affordable, especially for, say, indie creators or educational content. The economic pull is strong.
Okay. And the final parallel.
Continuous improvement. Just like digital cameras got stunningly good over time, AI voice generation, the expressiveness, the lip sync algorithms, they are all getting better constantly.
So those initial quality concerns might not last forever.
That's the trajectory, yes.
Mhm.
Suggests that today's limitations might be tomorrow's solved problems.
Okay, so the parallels are compelling, but the article is careful to say it's not all smooth sailing, right? There
Yeah.
are still some pretty big challenges and things to consider with AI dubbing. It's not quite a perfect replacement yet.
No, absolutely not. And it's important to acknowledge those. A critical one is emotional depth, nuance, for content that really relies on subtle vocal performance, genuine emotion. Current AI often still sounds, well, a bit flat compared to a really skilled human actor.
Yeah, I can see that. For like a really emotional drama or complex character work, you need that human interpretation, perhaps.
For now, yes. That suggests for certain types of high-stakes content, the human element remains absolutely crucial.
Okay. What else? The article mentioned cultural accuracy.
Right. This is a big one. Translation isn't just word for word. Language is packed with cultural nuances, idiom, subtext.
Things an AI might easily miss.
Exactly. Capturing that faithfully requires deep cultural understanding, something human translators and localization experts bring. AI is still learning there.
And then there's just the technical aspect of syncing it up, lip sync.
Yeah, that's incredibly complex, especially across languages with totally different sounds and rhythms. Getting it right consistently is a huge technical hurdle for AI.
And let's not forget what the article called the human touch, just that artistry.
Yes, that creativity, the adaptability of human actors, how they interpret a role, take direction, bring their own unique understanding to it. That's very hard for an algorithm to replicate fully.
So there's still an irreplaceable creative element. And ethical questions too, right?
Definitely. Job displacement for voice actors and translators is a major concern. And the potential misuse of voice cloning technology. Those are serious ethical issues the industry needs to grapple with.
Okay, so given all the potential and the challenges, how does the article suggest the industry might, navigate this? It doesn't sound like human dubbing is just going to disappear overnight.
No, not at all. The article suggests adaptation. One key idea is exploring hybrid models,
Hybrid, meaning?
combining the best of both worlds, using AI's speed and cost efficiency for maybe less critical roles or for initial passes, but reserving human actors for the lead roles, the emotionally complex parts.
Okay. Like using AI for background characters or narration, but humans for the main performances.
Potentially, yes. Or using AI for rapid translation drafts that humans then refine culturally. It's about finding that pragmatic balance, focusing human talent where it delivers the most unique value, that deep emotional connection, that cultural finesse.
That makes sense. Let the machines do the heavy lifting where appropriate, and humans handle the artistry.
Something like that. And the other key adaptation, professionals need to actually get skilled in AI dubbing tech.
Right. Understand how it works, its strengths, its weaknesses.
Exactly. Knowing which platform works best for which task, how to manage AI workflows, that becomes a crucial skill set for people in localization.
So wrapping this all up then, the main takeaway seems pretty clear.
I think so. AI dubbing, much like digital cinema was, is a really significant substitute technology. It has the potential to fundamentally change the audio localization landscape.
And looking back at how that film to digital shift played out gives us really valuable clues about how this AI disruption might unfold, the initial skepticism, the rapid improvement, the economic drivers, the eventual adaptation.
Precisely. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes, as they say.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? You look at these examples, digital cinema, now AI dubbing, and you start wondering, what other parts of media and entertainment, things we maybe think are totally irreplaceable now, might face their own disruptive substitutes just over the horizon?
Hmm.
It really forces you to consider how constantly technology is reshaping everything, how we create stuff, how we consume it. A lot to mull over.
Indeed. It really brings up fundamental questions about, well, the future of creativity itself, doesn't it?
Hmm.
That interaction between human skill and artificial intelligence in shaping our media experience is a conversation that's, really only just getting started.
Yeah.
And those lessons from past disruptions, they're a pretty useful map for navigating what might come next.